Hey guys, how's everything going? This is Jay, sir. First of all, Happy New Year. This is my first video on 2024. Thanks for watching my videos or reading my blogs. I've started this YouTube channel 3 years ago. Wow. There's just a lot of things, too many things to to learn, but just there's so little time. Yeah, but anyway, just never give up. I tend to not set goals, but just try my best to learn something new every day. Try to be better myself. Anyway, in this new video, I'm going to introducing something pretty interesting called Babel macro. It's not something new entirely. I think the thing came out like a few years ago, but to me it's still new, and I just started to diving into this area of the front end development, and it's quite interesting to be honest. So this first episode about it solves the problem of conditionally running logic based on the invar. I'll go through my blog post, but if you prefer reading the text, just to go jsu.dev. I'll start with a problem statement and some existing approaches and analysis on them, and yeah. And finally, I introduced the approach I'd like to promote. Okay, the first thing is the need to run code conditionally based on invar. This is quite, I think it is quite common. Often, if you're running like a local version of your app, you want something hacky, right? Like debug menu or logging locally. Yeah, just something like smoothen the development itself. And for the test environment, you want to catch errors, especially, or also for some debug menu. But for production, I don't want anything of it. I want the code to be stripped completely. So to achieve this, you might want to do something like this: process aim target. Use the invar to do this, right? Yeah, like say for local environment, I do this. If it is staging, I do this. This is not very scalable. Like say, if there are a lot of flags like this, it's gonna be very hard to manage what are enabled on each aim. So I think it is better to explicitly state what is being enabled, like based on the features, like the flags, not by the English. So I'd propose that we do something like this. So like say process inf, something is enabled, we do it, otherwise we don't. Like enable extra logging, enable debug menu, and then in a build command, we could just set it when necessary. So for this, it doesn't matter whether it is in a local build or the production build. Basically, if you want a local build, okay, there's no build dev basically for dev, but you can still use the like npm run dev. For staging build, you can enable a debug menu, extra logging, but for production, we just remove them, right? This is ideal, but actually the thing is, in order to make it work, it relies on the bundler settings. We will go with the Vite. I think it's more popular than Webpack now. I've been using Vite. It's quite cool. It's fast, and yeah, it just removes the hassle from understanding what is going on there. Webpack. Anyway, let's start with this piece of code. Like say, okay, we just use the process inf like this, and we just build them. Like a build staging here, we'll enable this feature by the invar, and this is the build production. The same code as we explained before this, like here. And then, okay, you can try it on Slack Blitz. I've put it into a repo there. Now, if we run the build staging, which is the command that has this feature flag enabled, if we take a look at the build assets, it's not what we expected, because you can see that the I here is the process inf. It's replaced with this empty object literal, and this process in Vite enable debug. Obviously, when that code is run, this will log the undefined, right? And this undefined triple equal true is gonna be false, so this one will not be run. So the code itself, if we run it, it actually works as what we expected, because this one, the console log enable debug, they're not going to be run. So it worked, but we don't want the code, right? Like say, if you want to have some secret logic inside of it, and this piece of code will be leaked into the production, and the people are able to inspect it, and it's pretty silly, right? It's embarrassing for other people to look at your debug code. Okay, yeah, and for build production, we would see something similar, because actually the value itself, you see here, it's not injected. Even if we set it true, it's not in this code, and that's why these two are working the same. The problem is that for bundler Vite, it doesn't know anything about this process inf, right? For this one, Vite enable debug, we need to tell the bundler, say, okay, so this one we could safely replace it with something else. We need to provide it, and that is done by these esbuild defines. So this is another example, a new version. In the Vite config, we will define process inf Vite enable debug, and this one will get the value from the actual invar, and we provide it through this define. And by this, the Vite will be able to understand that, okay, this invar is the string true. Yeah, you can see we will just replace it with this true. After we build again with a flag on, we could see that this one, console log here, will be true replaced with true, and also true equals true, right? So true, this will be a true branch, and after optimization, this could be removed. So eventually, we will get this piece of code in the build assets. It's pretty cool, right? And if you want to run build production, we will see the console log undefined, because we this one is undefined. JSON string file will be undefined. It will be replaced with undefined, and this will gonna be false. And because it's dead code, we could just eliminate it. So Vite is clever enough to do the optimization. So var 0 is actually undefined. Yeah, this is just what esbuild does. So this is actually what we want, right? This is pretty cool. And the thing is that, okay, by the way, the define, I think in Webpack it's called provide plugin or something. I think I was using it something like that before. But anyway, this is quite powerful, and yeah. But the thing is, when we have multiple flags, this is not gonna be, it's not scale. It's pretty verbose to do things like this. And Vite actually has this implicit define feature enabled for us, which is the import meta-inf. So yeah, so basically it just it will do this in the background for the invar, which are prefixed with Vite. So let's give it a try at this import meta-inf. We just replace the process inf here, and yeah, process inf with import meta-inf here, and let's try it again. So this time when we build, we will see that this is the same as previous version, which means that the import meta-inf Vite enable debug will be replaced with the actual value. Cool. Now let's run build production. Okay, now we have something slightly different. The first one, the process inf here, is inlined. with these variables. We don't know where they are from the code here, but I'll tell you that these 4, 5 vars are the built-in vars. They will be injected no matter you set them or not. And then these are runtime code. Again, this is similar to the first version, though the code itself, this one will not be run at the runtime, but the code is kept in a built asset, which kind of embarrassing, right? Cool. Actually, we could improve this case by explicitly set the flag, the var, to false, and because it's prefixed with Vite, the Vite will expose this flag through this import meta-inf to internal esbuild, and esbuild will be able to replace the var and optimize the code and remove the dead code like this. And eventually we will get console log false, because this is different from the undefined because it's defined now. It's defined with false, the string version. Cool. So yeah, so this means that if you want to get it right with import meta-inf in Vite, we need to explicitly set the var for everyone, for every case, right? Otherwise, what the var will be inline, which may not be necessary, and the dead code is not eliminated. So yeah, that's it. That's for how we would do the conditional logic in Vite. And before we go to the next step, let's take a look at how these things work inside of Vite. First thing is about the dead code elimination. The internals of Vite, of the bundler, it uses the esbuild, which is written in Go. I'm not an expert on Go, but I found the code here. You can click here to go to the GitHub, and this is the piece of code where the esbuild tries to optimize the code by analyzing the AST tree. I've a few I've touched the AST parsing with Babel before. When I do the episode of Solid.js, you can find on my blog. It's quite interesting. Though I'm not familiar with the syntax here like this, I don't know them, but I am able to understand what is going on. So basically here, like say, hey, for all the if clauses, we'll try to, here, we'll analyze if the test, the condition could be simplified with a falsy or truthy value. It will take a look at the expression, like if it is equal or something else, and choose the special cases, and then optimize them. And then we will take a look at the value itself. If it is like true or false, then we will try to optimize the if branch. It is called mango if. Okay, we have the option to minify the syntax. The minify could be turned off, but it's on by default. Okay, in mangled if you took a look at the code, the big picture here, you could see that it says, okay, if the condition is true, then we would keep the true branch, which is here. It's like say, okay, keep the true branch is this yes. If it is false, then we keep the false branch, which is here, no or nil. So yeah, this is simply how it works. It just try to derive the condition of if branch and then keep the branch. Cool. Okay, the second question is about how import meta-inf is injected. Okay, this is the load inf. It first loads the inf from the files. Here, the inf files, and then the option is parse. What is parse? Parse is from entries, inf files. Yeah, and then it will look at the actual inf files directly set in the command, like what we did before. Cool. And then it will, what do we do? It will filter. Okay, filter here. It will be filtered. You can see that for the inf vars, it will set the inf with the key and value if the key starts with the prefix. Both are applied for the inf files and the actual inf vars. Cool. So you see that why the Vite here prefix is important. And then this collecting of all the inf will be exposed to the resolved config, like the Vite config, right? So resolved, blah blah blah, a lot of config, and here is the inf. There's a user inf, and there are 4 other infs. Like I said, these 4 infs, 5 of them, SSR is injected separately, but basically these infs are injected no matter what you said. So what you said is we said are put in the user inf, and all of them are exposed in this resolved config, and this config will be used in the plugins. Yeah, this plugin is the Vite internal defined plugin. The plugin basically do the code transformation. So you can see here, this plugin, it checks if it is build, blah blah blah, and then here it will traverse the infs, and then you'll put them into the import meta keys and import meta inf keys. And this config define is the define of our first version. We can actually define directly in the Vite config. Okay, we'll skip that. And then you can see that we will create a define object which contains the import meta keys and user define. This one contains the inf vars, and this inf will be applied to the here replace define will be passed to the transform. So this transform, you see that it's from the esbuild. Okay, cool. And then, as we said, the esbuild will use this define to do the replacement. So this define contains the direct define and also the implicit define by the Vite, which is quite straightforward, right? And after transformation, the result code will be returned, and this is what the plugin does. It will replace the invars. And by looking at this piece of code, we will be able to understand why these invars must be explicitly defined, right? Because here, when we are generating the defined object, we are actually, here we're actually traverse through the keys of the inf, which means that if the invar doesn't have keys, then it will not be detected by the plugin, which means that we have to set it. Otherwise, we don't know what it is. Great. So after all this, what I want to try to demonstrate is that you see that this kind of approach is sketchy, or I should say, it is quite easy to get it done, but it's not easy to understand what is going on. It's quite easy to mess things up. By mess, I mean, there are a few cases that we already see that it works in a runtime, but the code itself is still kept there, right? Actually, we don't want that. We want the code to be stripped cleanly, to be stripped completely, and that requires some understanding of the bound plus setting. Yeah, and what if like some people, the new members, don't know anything about it, and just set the forgot to set the invar for the production build, and because it works in the runtime, he will not notice that the issue, right? Unless he clearly checks the build asset. So this is not very cool, I would say. And the possibly better approach I would introduce is with the AST manipulation. With this plugin called Babel macro, we were able to modify our code before the bundler does its job. Okay, so here's a note that since Vite 4, there's an option for SWC and Babel. Both of them are supported for the React project. You might choose the SWC. I think it's faster. But in this post, we are introducing the power of the macros. For SWC, the macro is not there yet. I think SWC kind of supports the plugin, but we have to write it in Rust and like build it into WebAssembly. That's beyond my reach, so I would just stick with the Babel. Great. So the first step is enable macros, the macro itself. So which is like a feature, like a door to this macro world. We will just install the Babel macro, Babel plugin macros, the plugin for Babel. Okay, so define config plugins React and Babel plugins. Yeah, this is this is for React project. If you're not reusing React, you can actually find the Vite Babel macro plugin or something. I'll just use it here as a demo here. So yeah, enable macros, and the second thing is to use the macro. I've already published the macro to the JSON macro on npm. You can install it. So this is the code we'd like to import. Import the macro from the module, and then for Babel macro, the basic syntax are the function calls. So for our import here, it will import a function. The first argument is the envvar name, and the macro will check the value on the env to see that if the value is true or not. If it is true, the second argument, the function will be run. Otherwise, the code itself, the whole code, will be stripped, and also including the import. You can try it on StackBlitz. You might think that it's a bit complex here, right? But I think it's pretty straightforward, because for import, we actually could import it with a different name. You can import it with runCodeForEnvVar or strip it. So it's pretty clear to like say for a new member, it will be very easy for him to understand what it is, what he does, right? And if we run the build staging, which has the flags being set, we would see this piece of code being generated. So console log this, yeah, and then this one will be kept. The import will be removed, and the function itself will be removed as well. So this is the same as the previous, the second version, right? And the working version. One note is that actually the code will have this IIFE wrap in it, but Vite is, I think esbuild is clever enough to remove the extra wrapper. So these are actually not needed. So in the end, this kind of output is what we get. And if you run build production, we will get the console log. As I said, this macro function will be removed completely if the first argument, the envvar, doesn't have the value of string version of true. So yeah, it removes it. Pretty cool, right? By this macro, we don't need to worry about the modular setting anymore, right? We just use it, use as what we are told to do, and we don't need to worry about any code leak into production. So that's what I mean by the powerful macros. Yeah, what it does is the same as function name. Run the code if this envvar is true, or just strip the code otherwise. So how does it work you can find the code directly on the GitHub. I've already put it on my repo. The code is actually pretty straightforward. You can see that. Okay, the basic one is we need to export create macro. Yeah, here. This is the plugin, Babel begin macros. And then in this macro, we will define our logic. So simply, it's an AST manipulation. It is not intimidating. If you just to try to write something simple, and you'll get a hand of it. So basically, what it does is like this one. It says, okay, for each call of this function, the reference of this macro, for all of them, for each of them, we will check if it is function call. Yeah, you might like using as assign the variable or something, right? It should be okay if it is not a macro, but for macro here we don't want that. So we check. Okay, you must call it as a function, and the first argument must be a string literal, and the second argument must be a function expression. It could be arrow or non-arrow for a function. These are validation, and then we will check the first argument by simply check it against the string true from the process inf. And if it is true, then what we do? We want to replace the whole function call, like this one, replace it with this one, right? So we will get the second argument and put it inside of a call it like IIFE. That's call expression. So we create a call expression. This is the function, and there is no argument. So that's what we mean by here. So it will generate something like this. You can see that inside of it, this is the second argument for the macro, and we'll wrap it into this function call. So it's called call expression. And if it is not valid, if it's not a string version of true, we will remove the whole macro function call. Yeah, this is the error. It should be called as a, yeah. Great, so that's it. It's pretty straightforward. I would say that it demonstrates the power of manipulating the AST tree on the fly. I think it's pretty useful not only for not only to make the code easier to read, but also it will help simplify our build pipeline. And it just open a door to all kinds of possibilities to make those things work. Create magic functions. Yeah, I like to call it magic functions. There are a lot of Babel macros already on npm. Just to search the keywords here, and the plugin macro itself is like have 5 million downloads a week. Wow, it's pretty powerful, pretty interesting. I might spend some work time creating some new Babel macros, and stay tuned. Cool, and that's it. Hope it helps. See you next time. Bye.